It's like anything else. You add more crap to it, you can double the amount. So, say you have a gram of cocaine, you use a gram of cutting agent, now you have 2 grams of cocaine to sell as opposed to 1.
So then the one, they could sell it uncut.
Yeah, obviously, like, especially with the heroin, that's why you have the stamps. Basically, it's their brand. That's how they market it. They have whatever their stamp is, everybody knows they're going to pretty much get the same consistency with that brand. So when they pull up to a drug dealer, they'll ask for a specific brand because they know what the heroin content is as opposed to cut.
Wow.
Now that's like if you find the used bags, you'll see like the devil or
Correct.
Stuff like that on there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so then there's a, I mean, it's marketed like any other product.
Just like Coca-Cola and Pepsi, absolutely.
It's just that it's an illegal product.
This is my heroin. If you want to get the good stuff, this is where you come to get it.
Every once in a while you hear, the overdoses because it's not being cut or they're getting pure heroin. Does that happen all that often, or?
Not to my knowledge in the city of Hartford anyway. I have heard of instances where it has occurred, but there's not a lot of those instances here. Oh, the car's being approached right now. That's him up ahead if you want to get a little bit of footage.
At the right curb here?
Way up on the curb, yeah. Someone's at the door right now.
At the driver's window.
You see him?
Mm-hmm.
Right. We'll do a little drive-by.
Wearing a baseball hat, red and black jacket, blue jeans, still talking at the window.
That's it right there. Let's pull it right here. Oh, you did? Oh, you found it? Yeah. Oh, great. Here's a shot of what we found if you want a shot of this.
You try to stuff this in a potato chip bag.
So basically it was powder and heroin. Nope.
Do these guys, do they work for someone else?
Well, everybody works for somebody else, especially in this area up here. You have
You can run them, I'll do it.
Last year, my division made 2,000 narcotics arrests. That's just my division. That's not the entire police department. There's approximately, 3,000 people currently incarcerated in the state of Connecticut for narcotics. So
3,000?
that's it.
That's it.
That's it. So you do the math. It doesn't rip a car with making a delivery of 500 or 600 bags of heroin. Basically, like I said, cutting the middleman out.
Now, where most the drugs that enter into the city, where are they coming from?
A large portion of it is coming right out of New York. We're right between New York and Boston. So a lot of the stuff that we work on, that we follow up from, the small fish up to the big catch, the stuff's coming out of New York.
Wow.
We've had cases right out of Bradley International Airport where shipments are coming in from Puerto Rico right into Bradley International Airport. In a transmission box, 50 kilos.
Wow.
So.
Do you find many of those big stashes like that, or are they hard to come by?
For our division, they're kind of hard to come by. We don't, we pretty much stay within the city limits. We have guys that are assigned to the FBI task force. We have guys assigned to the DEA. We have guys that are assigned to statewide. Most of our cases stay right here in the city, but every month or so we'll come up with a decent grab like that. Just last month we had a case with 3.5 kilos, and so it's hit or miss.
That's 3.5 kilos. That's a good size amount.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 2.2 pounds per kilo. So,
wow,
it's a substantial grab.
¿Tienes arequilla encima? No, para no. Voy a comprar comida. No tienes arequilla encima, ¿no? Nada.
Yeah, Captain, these guys. If we weren't in the middle of this, right back there on Jefferson, they saw a bigger drug deal going down, like maybe a shipment being dropped off, and the guys were calling this in. So obviously, officer safety, they come down here to grab these guys.
This is like shooting fish in a barrel.
Oh yeah. Like I said, Kevin, last year we made 2,000 narcotics arrests. There's not 2,000 people from the city of Hartford in jail for narcotics.
Obviously, we've done these type of operations before, so everybody knows when we go over the operational plan, they know exactly what their responsibilities are. If you're in the covered vehicle, you're not going to get out of the vehicle unless the officer's in trouble. Mm-hmm. If you're part of the takedown team, you kind of coordinate with each other. Hey, I have the east side of the street. The other guy says, okay, I'll take the west side of the street. So, it's like right now, they're going over there, like, okay, we got rid of all our paperwork, we got rid of the bad guy, we're ready to roll.
Everybody's all set? Hang on one moment, Team 2 still taking paperwork, we're almost done. Hey, if anybody's missing a set of cuffs, we got them on Team 2.
So yeah, we kind of, feed off of each other. Even when you have an assigned, when you have a specific assignment, if somebody, drops the ball and isn't, Johnny on the spot, the guys pretty much know, hey, I'll pick up the slack. Let me go ahead and fill in where these guys messed up. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Michael. You're good. Little crews. You have guys up on the Ave. You have the CNN, West Hell, all these little crews that are beefing back and forth. Loosely affiliated, but not as well organized as they were back in the 90s with, like I said, with the Latin Kings and the Solios.
Do you see a resurgence of that, though, that they'll be getting back to that level, or they're just not that organized now?
I personally haven't seen anything to indicate that. They're just more loosely affiliated. But this is our location, though, for heroin. Sometimes right here near the corner, or other times up near the other corner up on Washington. So I'll just back up a little bit, give him some space in case he gets flagged down.
Now that's him with the safety car or whatever right behind him. Right?
Correct.
But do you get much information from people, or is that?
Yeah, we have a drug tip line, and obviously all these guys have informants, so we're constantly getting information, whether it be an anonymous tip, or whether it's a complaint that comes through on 911. Oh, here we go. I'm going to do a little drive-by.
He's walking over the driver's side now.
This guy right here is going over to the stash spot somewhere.
Hold over to that.
He's going up the alleyway to get the drugs. Is a suspect in a robbery or a shooting or a homicide, but the Major Crimes Division doesn't have enough to put this guy, you know, in a cell so they can interrogate him or arrest him. They'll say, hey, can you go ahead and see if we know he is a known drug dealer? Can your undercovers buy into him? And if we happen to purchase narcotics from him when he's in that area, we'll make the arrest, and then we'll make the notification to the other division. Hey, we arrested the guy on narcotics charges, so now we have something to hang over his head. You know, bring him into the interrogation room and take a shot at him. Great. And transaction was going on, no problem. And as soon as this thing turned onto the street, the guy took off like a bat out of hell. And obviously he recognized the vehicle.
So they keep track of your vehicles then?
They really do.
I was thinking to myself that, you know, that must be one of the drawbacks of a small city.
Yeah,
you know, people easy to recognize, because you recognize people just walking around that you've seen over time, and
yeah,
because you see the same people over and over again.
Yeah, it's only the city's only what 17.5 square miles, so you get to know. Go ahead, Jay. One end of Park Street, by the time we get to the other end of Park Street, you know, everybody knows the van's out and there's nothing going on at the other end.
So even though they're all in competition, they still work well together.
You'll see, yeah, word of mouth, they'll know, whether it be the boys are out or you see them on their Nextels. Oh, that's him right there.
Yeah,
He's sitting on the set.
Come on, get to work. Get to work.
He already found the first.
Sieg.
He can still be alerted on the same smell. You found the yellow bags already, right?
No. He's alerting over here, but I don't see no yellow bag. Yellow baggies.
It's just like their coffee. You know, if they don't get it, they get sick. But if they do get it, they're fine for the day. It's a rich man's drug. It's not. You know, we see the street people, but the people in the office buildings who can afford it, they're doing this shit.
That's right here on this side and this side where they sell heroin. So you just pull up on the side of the curb here and people would run up to the car. There's nobody out here right now, but during the evening you see them hanging out in between the buildings.
Now, this is also an area with a lot of gun violence. Is most of that driven by the drug trade?
Well, a lot of it is driven by the drug trade. You also have these little area groups, obviously, as you know, like CNN and the Ave and West Hell, that are you know, basically just getting into fights over you know, incidents that in the past would have been just two teenagers going at it fisticuffs. And now, you know, they're carrying guns and they're affiliated with this group, so they feel like they were disrespected, and that's also been fueling a lot of the violence.
But that it's generally driven by drug turf, or
the large majority of it, yes. The majority of, you know, obviously, most of the crime is driven by drugs. Not only the gun violence, but like we had said before, you know, you have your junkie that needs his $10 to get his bag of heroin, so he breaks into a car to grab your GPS so he can get a quick $50 so he can get a couple of bags. So it's kind of, you know, reciprocal. A lot of the burglaries that are committed are also drug driven. So it's not necessarily just the drug dealers, but also you know, people who are drug dependent.
I think one of the other misconceptions is that, the area we're in right now off of Albany Avenue is, the hot spot for drugs. But in riding around with you, it seems like there's a lot of other, South End is almost as pervasive as the North End. Is that what you're finding, or?
That has definitely been my experience. They might have different tactics for selling in different parts of the city. For example, up here, I think it's a lot easier to pull up onto a corner and have somebody come up to your car and serve you than in the South End. In the South End, a lot of times you have to go into the location. Even though there is dealings going on in the street, as you saw when we were videotaping the hand-to-hands, it just seems to be a lot more prevalent in open air up here in the North End than it is in the South End.
Do you think that, that's more because this has the reputation for that and people just don't realize it's as available in the South End, or is it?
I think just like anything else, when you have an area that is known for narcotic sales, it just becomes a hot spot. So, supply and demand. If there's somebody who wants to come there and get the product, there's going to be somebody standing there to give it to them.
Now, is it as busy during the day, or is it more a nighttime thing?
In the mornings before people go to work, you'll see certain locations which are known for heroin sales be real busy, and then you might get your lull a little bit during the day, and then during when work kind of lets out, you see it pick up again in the evening hours.
You had mentioned, on one of the previous occasions, that people have like their particular area they like to go for the brand of drugs or whatever. Is there that much of a difference?
Well, it's just like anything else. Like we had talked about with the stamps on the bags of heroin. If you go and you get a product that you like and you see the stamp on it, obviously you're going to keep looking for the same stamp. It's just the way that the drugs are prepared or cut, or what they utilize to mix in with the heroin, that makes them feel like that brand itself is what they want to go back for. So, if you have something that's a certain quality, obviously you like it, you're going to go back and ask for the same brand.
Now, a lot of these, I know, especially in the South End, they're doing a lot of these bodega inspections. Do you have much of a problem with, the corner stores or whatever being involved and, in some way facilitating the drug trade? Or?
Well, whether the business owners are directly involved or not, remains to be. Every situation is different, but they definitely have knowledge of some of these kids that are standing out in front of the store when they run it. And some of the stores are blatantly directly involved. Others aren't directly involved, but they allow, these the drug dealers to come in when they see the police, or they'll hide their bag of narcotics within the aisles, which is like a needle in the haystack when you chase a drug dealer into the store to try to locate the narcotics that are being sold. So if they had, we have some of the business owners have been forthcoming and talked to the community service officers and filled out standing complaints, so that if someone's loitering in front of their business, they can be arrested for trespassing or loitering, or just like you have up here, you have the signs that say no loitering, no trespassing. So it helps to cut down a little bit, and it's definitely another tool for law enforcement to help to minimize, the large groups hanging on the corners from which obviously you have a guy hanging out on the corner, you have somebody else who doesn't like him, obviously, especially with the warmer months coming, those are some of the contributing factors to the violence.
And the number of, let's say, convicted felons that you're finding with guns, do you see that escalating, or do you see that as a real problem?
It's kind of a tough thing to say. I mean, we come across a lot of guys with bad criminal histories. The last roundup that we did, we've had some guys with, as little as no previous arrests, and as many as 70-something arrests. I think the average number was about 17 previous arrests for the last roundup that we did, and it's just sheer numbers. There's approximately 3,000 people currently incarcerated in the state of Connecticut for narcotics charges, and
Last year alone, my division, not the entire police department, just my division, made approximately 2,000 narcotics arrests. So I'm not foolish enough to think that, you know, every person that we arrest is going to be incarcerated. And the majority of those arrests are felony arrests because they're narcotics arrests, whether it be rock cocaine or heroin.
And when you talk to the people that are arrested, is there usually an explanation as to why they've gotten into the drug trade? Is it a matter, you know, it's easy money, or?
Well, a lot of them is basically that's what all they know. They've grown up, and to them, it's, you know, that's how they make their living. You know, they see other people doing it around them, and it's just, you know, it's normal to them. You know, just like you know, you put your suit on to go to work today. You know, to them, that's just part of everyday business.
And I'm sure that all stems from, you know, a lot of the, you know, social factors. The fact that, you know, only 3 out of 10 kids graduate from Hartford high schools, and, you know, it really doesn't groom them to go out and get a high-paying job. And this is a way to make money.
Absolutely, social and economically, absolutely. There's, you know, they don't have the means to get from point A to point B to have a regular job, and when they start getting involved in that, it just becomes easier. It's a vicious cycle.
Now we're trying to get some information from the courts as far as, you know, where cases end up. You know, how many people are actually convicted, the number of convicted felons caught with guns, how those cases are resolved. Any ideas or any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know the numbers aren't as high as I had initially anticipated. When pulling up some of the criminal histories, like I was saying, on some of the offenders that we've arrested, it seems like the system is just, something needs to be done with the system. I don't know. We don't have enough beds in the correctional facility to actually impose the sentences that are mandated.
Well, I think that's got to be a frustrating part of it, seeing the same faces back on the streets, and you know, pretty quickly after they're arrested.
Yeah, as part of you know, we debrief everybody that we arrest. We speak with them, and one guy who in particular had 17 previous arrests, and caught him dead to rights. He sold to an undercover officer. And I was explaining to him how he was looking at, you know, 3 to 5 years for selling narcotics to an undercover officer. And he basically looked at us and chuckled and said that he'd been arrested on 17 previous occasions, and that he wasn't too concerned about it. So it is frustrating, yes.
You know, I think we had talked before, some of these gun cases, that apparently the federal courts seem to have a little more teeth when it comes to sentencing. Is it difficult to get a gun case turned over to the federal level, or are they usually willing to accept them?
Well, just like anything else, they have certain criteria that they want to take, and obviously they take on less cases than the state level does. So it's one of those things where, actually, you know, we can get some of the good information for that would be our Project Safe Neighborhoods, which has a VSET team here in the city of Hartford. We have ATF agents assigned to it, a DEA agent, and Hartford police detectives. It's run out of our intelligence division. And they pretty much make sure that when these cases are put together, there's a system that's in place, and notifications are made all the way through the system. Everything from the type of bond that's going to be set on an offender, all the way down to contacting the prosecutor to make sure that, hey, can you give this case extra attention? It's a gun case. So as well as the state court over here at GA14, they're also involved in that program with us. You know, it's just like everything else. I believe the city of Hartford brings in seizes more guns and makes more gun arrests than any other city in the state of Connecticut. And you know, once again, you know, I think just the sheer volume of number of arrests, and, you know, what's actually available in the correctional facilities to house these people.
Now, I know, you know, it's got to be a tough job out there, and I'm sure some days you feel like you're just bailing water against the tide. But what about the success stories? You must get feedback and comments from people that are in buildings plagued by drug dealing, and then you guys go in and do what you have to do, and they see a positive change? Do you get much feedback on things like that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and when it boils down to, I mean, that's, as a municipal police department, that's what we're here for. The citizens in the city of Hartford. We know that, even if we eradicated, narcotics on such and such a street, it's going to move somewhere else. And basically what it boils down to is we're trying to, change the way business is being conducted here in Hartford. As far as, when we lock up all these drug dealers, I'm realistic. I know that they're not all going to go to jail, but if we can change their habits so that there isn't, violent crime that's being associated with it, and those types of things, then, I feel like, we've accomplished something.
But one of the reasons we originally were asked to do a program like this was because someone approached us who his philosophies are that the way to stop the violence is to decriminalize and legalize certain drugs. Any thoughts or your feelings on that?
Well, my personal opinion, just like you have, black market for DVDs and CDs and liquor and everything else, the same thing would probably happen with narcotics if you legalize them. As far as if they did legalize narcotics, I mean, I'm a soldier, and if it becomes legal, I only enforce the law. I don't make them. So that's how I feel about it.
What's the process for somebody that wanted to provide information to you or is having a problem in their neighborhood?
They could just call either the direct line and ask for the narcotics division. We also have our tip line if you just want to remain anonymous. The best thing to do is normally just call the police department and ask for anyone in the narcotics division, and normally, that way you kind of cut the middleman out. It comes directly to us, and we can initiate an investigation right from there.
What type of information is helpful for them to provide when they call?
Okay. What type of activity is occurring? The hours, descriptions of the persons that are involved in the illegal activity, hours of operation, any vehicle descriptions that might be helpful, license plates. The more specific the information, the better for us. If you can give us an exact apartment number or a building number, that type of thing.
And if follow-up was needed and somebody gave their phone number, that would all be held in confidence?
It's all held in confidence. Obviously, our detectives don't want anybody else to, feel the retribution for somebody providing information to the police department, so it would be upheld in the utmost confidence.
Well, if you had a wish list to help combat the drugs in Hartford, what were some of the things you would hope for?
Well, I would like some additional manpower, and nowadays, who wouldn't, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So additional manpower. The way our police department is structured, we have a district system. So I have 4 squads that cover various areas in the city. So if I could bump up each squad to have more manpower, that would be a tremendous help. Additional resources that you saw are vehicles. We need some vehicles, obviously. To me, that's the 2 major things: is the manpower and the vehicles would be a tremendous asset, at least to my division.